Hola, mis amigos, and welcome to the latest edition of Touching Base. The All-Star break is upon us, my friends. So I couldn't wait for the All-Star rosters to finally come out, and they have. Oh my God, I was looking forward to hearing who made it, who didn't make it, and here's we go. For the American League, the starting catcher is going to be Gary Sanchez of the New York Yankees, with backup catcher James McCann from the Chicago White Sox. At first base, we have Carlos Santana of the Cleveland Indians, as well as Jose Abreu of the Chicago White Sox and Dan Vogelbach of the Seattle Mariners. At second base, we will have DJ LeMahieu of the New York Yankees, followed by Whit Merrifield of Kansas City, as well as Tommy La Stella of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. At third base, we have Alex Bregman of the Houston Astros, as well as Oakland third baseman Matt Chapman. At shortstop, we have first-time All-Star Jorge Polanco starting from Minnesota, and behind him we'll have Francisco Lindor of the hometown Cleveland Indians. In the outfield, we have the starters Michael Brantley and George Springer, both of the Houston Astros, which will most likely be flanking center fielder Mike Trout of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. As well as those three, we also have Joey Gallo from Texas and Austin Meadows of the Tampa Bay Rays. Designated hitters Hunter Pence, the starter from Texas, and JD Martinez from the Boston Red Sox round out the position players of the American League All-Star roster. As for pitchers, we have Justin Verlander and Garrett Cole, both of the Houston Astros, as well as Ryan Presley from Houston, Charlie Morton from the Tampa Bay Rays, Jake Odorizzi of the Minnesota Twins, Lucas Giolito of the Chicago White Sox, Mike Minor of the Texas Rangers, Brad Hand of the Cleveland Indians, John Means of the Baltimore Orioles, Shane Green of the Detroit Tigers, Marcus Stroman of the Toronto Blue Jays, and Aroldis Chapman of the New York Yankees. On the National League side, we have Wilson Contreras starting at catcher from the Chicago Cubs. He will be followed by JT Realmuto of the Philadelphia Phillies and Yasmani Grandal of the Milwaukee Brewers. At first base, we have Freddie Freeman of the Atlanta Braves, followed by Pete Alonso of the New York Mets and Josh Bell of the Pittsburgh Pirates. At second base, we have first-time All-Star Ketel Marte of the Arizona Diamondbacks, followed by New York Met Jeff McNeil and Milwaukee Brewer Mike Moustakas. At shortstop, we have Javier Baez of the Chicago Cubs, Colorado Rockies shortstop Trevor Story, as well as St. Louis Cardinals shortstop Paul DeJong. At third base, we have Nolan Arenado as the starter from the Colorado Rockies, Chris Bryant from the Chicago Cubs, and Anthony Rendon of the Washington Nationals. In the outfield, the starting outfield will be ranked Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Atlanta Braves, as well as two MVP candidates this season in Christian Yelich of the Milwaukee Brewers and Cody Bellinger of the Los Angeles Dodgers. As this is the National League roster, they don't have DHs, so they will use one of the extra players who aren't starting and just make one of them the designated hitter. In an All-Star game, both teams use the designated hitter regardless of the venue. Even if we're in a National League park this year is in Cleveland, but even if we were in a National League park, we would still be using the designated hitter. As for pitchers, we have Max Scherzer of the Washington Nationals, Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, and Hyun-Jin Ryu of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Zach Greinke of the Arizona Diamondbacks, Jacob deGrom of the New York Mets, Luis Castillo of the Cincinnati Reds, Mike Soroka of the Atlanta Braves, Sandy Alcantara of the Miami Marlins, Kirby Yates of the San Diego Padres, Will Smith from the San Francisco Giants, and rounding out the roster, Josh Hader of the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm very interested in this All-Star Game because personally, I feel that the National League roster is more star-studded than the American League one. I feel that there's more names on the National League roster, but there's more up-and-coming stories in the American League roster. The way I look at the American League, there are a handful of teams that are ready to win a championship and a host of teams that are rebuilding. So throughout that host of teams, on the All-Star Game, you want to have a representative from every team. So if we look at some players in the American League like Dan Vogelbach, Tommy La Stella, and Jorge Polanco, these guys are having amazing years, but you really hadn't heard about them before this All-Star announcement because they're not household names. Now, they're all having fantastic seasons and are deserving of the All-Star nods. It's just not as many people have heard of them as opposed to a Javi Baez in Chicago. A lot of people have heard him because that's a big market, so it's easy to find their names. Oh, this guy plays for the Cubs, this guy plays for the Dodgers. Like, it's very easy to hear about them. What I like about the American League roster is that there's more people with first-time All-Star appearances as opposed to the National League, where it's a lot of veterans who have been there before. It's good because you know that the sport is in a healthy position when you have players who consistently play up to a level each and every year where you're producing numbers, but it's also nice to see players who haven't had the shine put on them before excel now. And I'm looking forward to watching their production during the All-Star Game, because the All-Star Game, that's the best of the best. You're not going up there and facing bums. You're going up there facing the best the sport has to offer throughout the first half of the year. So it's going to be very fun to watch. Personally, I really like All-Star Games because, like I said, it's the best of the best facing off. The entire weekend is pretty interesting because right before the All-Star Game is the Home Run Derby. I personally am a huge fan of the Home Run Derby, but I feel like Major League Baseball could help itself out marketing-wise if they were to take a bit more time during this All-Star break, maybe make it on a weekend or something so that more people could watch. I mean, the Home Run Derby is on a Monday, the All-Star Game is on a Tuesday. It's like, yeah, it's there, but at the same time, it's not an event the way it could be if it was maybe on a weekend or something. Personally, I don't know. I also feel that if you put it on a weekend, you could have the Home Run Derby, but you could have different kinds of skills competitions as well prior to the Home Run Derby if you do it like on a Saturday and Sunday kind of thing. I don't know. This is just me thinking. But I know that a stolen base competition, an infield skills competition, an outfield range, I guess, competition, like those are kind of things that would be interesting, and it's something we don't capitalize enough in this sport, showing off the different aspects of baseball. It's not just try to hit the ball as hard as you can. It's also, no, work on your defense, work on your pitch location. I feel like defense is one of the most exciting and underrated parts of the sport, because honestly, I've watched players make some amazing defensive plays, and I've talked to fans who aren't even huge baseball fans, and I'll show them some of these amazing defensive plays, and they're mesmerized by what I'm showing them, because it's like, it's very interesting and it's an art form watching them do what they need to do. And I feel like we should show off every part of the sport. One of the reasons why I'm thinking about so much about defense is because one of my favorite guys to watch play defense is Didi Gregorius, and he just finished off a 2-game series against Boston in London with his New York Yankees, where they won both games against Boston, and he basically showed out. I saw him doing defensive plays. I saw him hitting home runs. He had a great game. Also, by the way, if you guys haven't heard some of these London home run calls, you guys are doing yourselves a disservice. London home run calls are amazing. Like, the British accent sounds so sophisticated and so nice, calling some of these that I was just like, oh my god, this sounds great. I want them to play in London every year just because I want to hear the home run calls. It was great. It was awesome. I loved watching baseball in London. It was funny because the ballpark was so small and weirdly configured that basically anything that was hit solidly had the chance of going out. And you saw it from the scores. The first game, 17-13. Second game, 12-8. Come on. Those are really, really good scores on like regular baseball games. And the fact that we're doing this internationally is gonna make the sport grow so much faster and make it so much more exciting. And it's gonna make different countries want to bring the sport over. I know that we've already been doing baseball major league games, like not exhibitions, major league games in Japan. We've done some stuff in Mexico, and now we did this London series, and I'm very excited to see where else in the world we can go, because personally I feel that no sport, well, the most globalized sport so far in the world would be soccer, because that just blows up in Europe, and like whatever continent you want to talk about, they probably have a prominent soccer league in that continent. Baseball is nowhere near that level of excitement with other countries, but I see it growing, because at the end of the day, you kind of just need to be around it. If you immerse yourself in it and you allow yourself to be receptive to baseball, it's actually really fun. And I'm pretty sure I don't have to convince any of you guys, because you guys probably already watch baseball to some degree. But at the same time, it's very fun to watch new people learn about the sport and see the excitement in their faces when they're learning about it, because it's a really fun and exciting time for not only baseball, but for people around the world, just learning about new stuff. Now, before I move on to my favorite player right now, I do want to extend my condolences to the Los Angeles Angels family, as well as the Skaggs family, for their tragic loss. On Monday, June 1st, Tyler Skaggs, pitcher for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, sadly, he passed away on Monday, and it's a very sad thing, especially somebody as young as he is. He is 27 years old, and it really hits home with me because personally I'm 26, so it's just scary to think how short life can be and how quickly it can be taken away from you. So I mean, it's something that hits further than baseball. So today we want to acknowledge his achievements. Making it in the major leagues is something that not a lot of people can do. So he definitely worked his tail off to get to where he was in life. And although he had a couple of trades in his career where he bounced around, he basically grew up as a Los Angeles Angel, and he will always be a Los Angeles Angel. It's a very sad story, but it's something of, you remember him for what he did and what he was able to accomplish. Making it to the major leagues is an amazing accomplishment for every person who makes it to the major leagues. Whatever sport you do, whenever you get to the ultimate level of profession, it's something to be applauded, and he's definitely going to be missed. You want to remember the good things, and you want to remember how hard he worked and how many people he touched in his life. You read on Twitter and you watch Instagram and you see the outpouring of emotion throughout the baseball family. The entire sport is basically a family. If you see the way that these players interact with one another, they know each other throughout the year. They communicate with each other. They spend time together out of the season. This man just got married and this past off season, and a lot of former players went to his wedding, so he definitely had a lot of love in the sport, and the love is never going to go away. on that note, I wanted to say, as my favorite player right now, I wanted to send a overall favorite player to every first-time All-Star. Everybody who's never made it to the All-Star game and this is gonna be their first time, you guys are all my favorite players right now, because this is something that obviously as a fan I've never experienced, going to an All-Star game, because I never made it in the show. But the fact that you guys have all harnessed your professions and have finally made it to the All-Star game, I hope that you guys enjoy this thoroughly. It doesn't come around every year, and especially some of the older first-time All-Stars, you guys definitely know how hard it is to get there, and some of the new first-time All-Stars don't take it for granted. It's something that you guys should definitely appreciate. It's something you're always going to be able to look back on. Nobody can ever take this away from you. You are an All-Star. You are one of the best players at your craft at this given moment, and you should be very proud of yourselves, all of you. So that is all I have for today. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you again soon. Peace.